Hello, welcome to Kindergarten Bible. Now don't touch your mouse. This is not child's play. This is part of a series that I call the Bible K through 12. And it is designed for adults who don't have a clue what the Bible is all about. And so I designed this course with the idea that I would get a little deeper with each lesson, start out with some very basic information and go from there. And so therefore I called it the Bible K through 12. Well, let's get started. And the first thing that I need to say is that eventually you will need to obtain a Bible. I think you'll be fine today, but eventually you'll want access to a Bible. Now you can get a Bible that is not very expensive at all. One something like this. It's paperback. It is totally without any sort of additional material. It's just the Bible, just the Scripture. Or you can get a great big honking thing like this that is full of all kinds of information. There are maps, there are charts, there are articles, there are notes, and so forth, all there to help you understand the Bible. It costs quite a bit of money. So that's your choice. You need to get a Bible, though. Borrow one, buy one, don't steal one. This is a course about the Bible, after all. Okay, so if you have a Bible, one of the first things that you likely will do is to look at the table of contents. Any sort of textbook or book that is about technical material, history, and that sort of thing, you're going to look in the contents to see what's there. Now, if it's a book of fiction, then you'll start with page 1 and just read the story. But very likely, if you have a Bible, you're going to look at the table of contents. And if you look at a Bible table of contents, very likely one of the first things you'll notice is that there are two large sections that the Bible is divided up into, called the Old Testament and the New Testament. And that designation really it refers to covenants. The Old Covenants and the New Covenant. And we'll talk just a bit how that came about. First of all, the first part of the Bible, what we now refer to as the Old Testament, was originally the Bible of the Israelite people, the people who lived in the country we now call Israel or Palestine or various other designations. They were Hebrew people, and they wrote their Bible in Hebrew. And it was, as I say, that first part that eventually became known as the Old Testament. This is a modern edition of the Hebrew Bible. It has a designation or a title called Biblia Hebraica, which is a Latin terminology. And the best I can figure, is that this was understood to be an international edition. There are introductions in various languages, and so a Latin terminology would make some sense. Across the top, here and over here, there are Hebrew characters. And those actually stand for the three major parts of the Hebrew Bible: the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Wakotubim. I didn't say those very well. They stand for the Torah, which is the law, and the Nevi'im, referring to the prophets, and the Ketubim, which refers to the writings. And the Hebrews consider those three parts to make up their Bible. A kind of a shortened version of that is the Tanakh, which is sort of an acronym of those three words. Now, the Hebrew Bible was completed somewhere around 400 years before Christ. And then along came Jesus Christ, and a new religion, very closely related to the Hebrew religion, developed that we know of as Christianity. And the Christians wrote some sacred writings as well. Now, they accepted the Hebrew Bible as scripture, but they also accepted these new Christian writings as also part of their scripture. Now, they referred to the Hebrew Bible as the Old Testament. And that word testament refers to covenant. The Hebrew Bible has a number of covenants between God and people, and so they just collectively call these together the Old Covenant or the Old Testament. And then they believe that through Jesus Christ there has developed a new covenant or New Testament, and that was the reason for referring to their Christian writings as the New Testament. Now, if you were to print out all the words of the various covenants in the Old and New Testaments, the total would be less than 20 pages. Much of the Bible is not directly covenant material. It's related to these covenants. You can make the case that there's a relationship, but they are not covenant material. You will find history, biography, poetry, prophecy, and various other kinds of writings throughout the Bible, as well as these covenants. Now, the Christians did not write in Hebrew. They wrote in Greek. This is a modern edition of a Greek New Testament. And one of the differences that we notice between the Hebrew Bible and the Greek Bible, the Greek New Testament, is that whereas the Greek New Testament is like most books that we're familiar with, it starts on the left end and goes through to the right end because the writing is from left to right. On the other hand, the Hebrews wrote from right to left, and so their Bible begins at the right end of the book. So some of you are aware that Genesis is the first book of the Bible. And so Genesis starts here at the right end of this Bible, and then the last page of the Bible is at the far end, the left end. Now, the Christians wrote in Greek because of the predominant culture that they were immersed in. Most of you are aware that at the time of Christ and a few hundred years after that, the Romans, through their empire, dominated the entire Mediterranean world, from Spain to Syria to Greece to North Africa. All of that area was controlled by the Roman Empire. However, because of the influence of Alexander the Great, the eastern end of that empire was dominated by Greek culture and the Greek language. So it was natural for the Christians to write their scripture in Greek. One little sidelight is that the Hebrews translated their Bible about 200 years before Christ into Greek. That version is called the Septuagint, and it had a very marked influence on the Hebrews, and it also influenced the Christians who wrote in Greek. Many of the quotations of Old Testament material in the New Testament came about through the Septuagint, through the Greek version of the Hebrew Bible. Well, that kind of gets you started, gets some idea why when you open up a Bible and you look in the table of contents, you're going to find the Old and New Testament. We have more material that will also be a part of this kindergarten Bible, and I hope that you will view that also. Thank you.